5 minutes after 9 o'clock, nice looking Friday morning. It's time for Winging It with your hosts, Brad Boersma and Josh Verdunk. They both come in here each Friday from Ocala Aviation Flight School to tell us what it takes to become a pilot. If you have a question for Brad or Josh, or Brad and Josh, the number is the WOCA Climate Control Source Hotline, which is 352-622-9622, 622-WOCA. Good morning, guys. How you doing?
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good.
Welcome to our last show
of 2012.
That's exactly right.
Yes. How long have we been doing this show, would you say? A guesstimate?
Half a year, maybe?
Okay, so about 6 months. Josh just realized that we started at 9:05, not 9 o'clock. He thought we were starting 4.5 minutes late. I said, no, we don't start till 9:05.
Oh, okay.
No, I know that. I was having a brain fart.
Why do they say that?
Can you say fart on the air?
Yeah, sure.
I don't say that because I think it's just disgusting. I don't mind saying I have a brain lapse, I forgot something, but I don't like saying that because I think it's just...
You don't like the mental picture?
No, I think it's gross. What, you know, if it was literally doing that, that's just, you know.
Well, first of all, you need somewhere for that gas to escape out of your skull.
Yes, so it's coming out of your mouth? That's disgusting. I don't say...
Maybe why politicians blow so much hot air.
That could be.
Their brain just keeps going off.
I don't like that term. I think it's gross. And it's dumb, too.
Do you guys hang out, like, besides here?
No, I can't stand him.
You don't hang out together? You're not friends? Like, you don't go to each other's homes and play pinochle and things like that?
I've got 2 kids. He's a young married man. He doesn't want to come out and hang out with my kids.
So that's a no.
We've gone and hung out before.
Yes, we have. But, you know, he's Josh.
What's that supposed to mean?
So I guess what I'm asking you, are you doing a show, or is this how you always are together?
Well, this is how we always are.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering. Yeah.
Yes. No. Yeah, no, we hang out. It's just, honestly, with the 2 kids, and we work a lot, and we have done things. Yeah.
Do you have a topic today?
No.
No topic?
Yes, the topic is winging it.
When is your new gig start? Is it in
June?
June, okay.
Yeah.
So you got a half your way.
Okay, you talk for a minute.
Hey, Brad, why don't you tell us about your Christmas?
While he eats.
It was yummy.
How was your Christmas?
Stuffing his face.
The children made Christmas for you, didn't they?
Tell us about the children at Christmas. I don't have children.
My children are wonderful. They had a very good time.
Of course.
Yes, they did. They got Ripstick 360s, which I'm not advertising for.
What
I'm
is
just
that?
saying.
What is it?
It's like a new kind of like big wheel. You remember big wheels?
Yeah.
Okay. But on the back, instead of having the regular tires, they have free castering wheels.
Mm-hmm.
So when the kids go riding, when they turn, they like spin.
Oh,
it's
wow.
hilarious. They're really funny
fun
to watch. Yeah.
Are you ready for your phone calls?
Oh, most certainly.
I think you have one. Good morning. You're on the air with Josh and Brad.
All right, you guys, back to work.
No work. No.
Happy holidays, anyways.
Merry Christmas to you.
You bet. See, a plane that has pontoons, is that a special trick to land and take off with those things, or is it pretty much like with wheels?
Well, one with pontoons, and then you also have the ones with pontoons with wheels on the pontoon. So
okay.
It kind of depends. Like if you're talking about a pontoon that lands on water, yeah, there's a much different way that you're going to land on water than you will on land.
You have more drag, right, on water? Takes you longer to take off?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then would you hit a switch and the wheels go up and come down? Is that it?
Yeah, for the ones that are amphibian, yeah, you would have it has a. So I guess would it be? I guess it would depend on the plane. Some are hydraulic, I would assume, right, Josh?
Yes,
yeah.
hydraulic or electric.
And so the big thing with that is remembering to put your gear down when you're going to go land on land.
Yeah. Do you have to have like a special certification or license or something to be able to land and take off on water? Special training?
Yes. You have to have a seaplane rating, yes. Because you're going to land differently, you're going to take off differently, so it's very important.
Well, that and just when you with an airplane with wheels, you go and you taxi out to the runway, where as if you got pontoons, you're kind of floating out on the water, and the wind affects you a whole lot more. If, for example, if there's a wind coming across the lake, it's going to push you to the downwind side of the lake. So you got to learn how to deal with the wind as you're maneuvering on the water
and the waves.
Yeah. What do you like? Remove those pontoons when you don't really need them? Just leave the wheels on.
No. The wheels are usually attached underneath the pontoons and they fold up.
Okay.
So no, you can't just take them off. That would be way too much work.
Well, I know one guy who did actually. He had a Husky, and he kept it on floats half the year, and then the second half of the year he did a conversion.
If you're going to do it for that long, but not like if you're just going to go land somewhere else.
Yeah. But it to take off the pontoons is a pretty big undertaking.
Yeah. So in other words, an airplane with pontoons is a pontoon airplane.
Yes.
More or less, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Is it kind of tricky to land them with the pontoons on land? I mean, does it have a little bit of an effect?
I mean, I've personally never done it. Have you done it, John?
I've never landed
But I would assume it would, because most of those ones that have the pontoons are quite high.
Oh, okay.
They're a lot higher than a regular plane, and the wheels are a lot different. They're in different spots. So you're definitely going to have to learn to land differently.
And you got 4 wheels instead of 3, so it's a little bit different.
Do we have any pontoon planes at the airport?
There are none based at the airport. Once in a while, you'll see a Beaver come in, which is a single-engine, high-wing amphibian airplane. Amphibian means it can do both land and water.
But no straight pontoons land in Ocala.
No straight pontoons land at Ocala.
Well, living in Florida here, I mean, there's tons of water all over the place. You think you'd see more pontoon planes,
Well, you may on the lakes, but you're just not going to see regular.
Down towards the Lakeland, Winter Haven area, you'll see a whole bunch.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Well, enjoy your show. Looking forward to another good year coming up, and I'll be calling you down the line.
All righty, sir.
Okay. Happy New Year to you guys.
You too.
You bet. Bye now.
And you have another phone call. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you tell me approximately what it would cost to get a pilot's license?
Absolutely. Josh,
what?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question. You're close to the speaker. Go ahead.
Is it
you
low?
want to know what it would take, how much it costs you to get a private pilot's license?
A private pilot license.
I want to see how much I've taught you in the last year and a half.
Average is about $8,500, and that includes your study materials, your medical exam by a doctor, the check ride that goes to the examiner, all the flight training in the airplane, both solo and dual time, and some ground time as well. How's that?
Mm-hmm. Do you have to have a medical exam like each year or every 2 years or something?
It depends on your age and what kind of medical license you're getting.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, for example, for your private pilot license, if you're over the age of 40. Yes. Thanks, Dan.
You should start with under the age of 40.
Under the age of 40, it's good for 5 years.
5 years.
For a private pilot, which is a Class 3 medical. And then if you're over 40, it's 2 years.
Dan, you should know that one, right? Yeah. I think Dan's is only good for 1 year now. He's gotten so old.
Yep.
So Dan's actually listening because we gave him a hard time this morning because he didn't know what we talked about on our last show.
We didn't talk about anything.
We didn't talk about anything, but he didn't know that. So now he's listening and he's yelling in the background. But yeah, generally you're looking about $8,500. He was right. We try and tell you the total cost. I mean, sometimes you can do it for less. We've had people do it for about $7,500, but that's really studying, doing everything you're supposed to do. But if you're looking somewhere around that range, that's what it's going to cost you.
Now, not to pick on Dan, but it seemed like he had a harder time with like the written part of this whole process than the actual hands-on. And to me, I'd be more comfortable with a pilot who was better at the hands-on than the written. Does that make sense to you?
Oh, it makes sense. I don't know if I would agree with that with Dan.
Oh, really? What do you mean?
You've never flown with Dan.
No, but I remember he was saying he had a hard time with the written part.
Yeah.
Lots of times we find students that do really great on the flying, the hands-on portion, and not so great at the written, or vice versa. But you really need to have a good understanding of both to be able to be a safe pilot.
All right.
So
well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I guess if I had my choice, the guy who was good with the bookwork or the guy who was good simply at flying, I'd rather have the guy good at flying.
Well,
if I was a passenger.
But if you're not good enough at flying, you're not going to get through that part anyway.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like, you can't be good at the boatwork and be a bad pilot and get your license. It's not going to happen. You actually have to be good enough to be able to get your license.
Oh, I know. I understand that. Okay.
Yeah. But with the bookwork, it's...
But you know how they say a doctor, you can be a doctor if you got...
Last place?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you call a doctor that was worse in the class?
Right.
Yeah. Still a doctor. Yeah, I don't know if you want to be worst pilot.
Hey, Dan.
That's too funny.
But yeah, no, the writtens, and some people handle them different. Like, we've got pilots that are amazing pilots, but when it comes to the check rides, they have test anxiety and they freak out and they can't remember their names. You know, it happens. Everybody's a little bit different. Same thing with the written tests. Some people don't do well on written tests, but they know they have the knowledge,
which is
they just can't get it out.
Okay.
So, I don't know if Dan had the knowledge or if he has test anxiety. Which one was it, Dan? See, now he won't respond.
Hey, Daniel.
If you would like to ask a question and you want to know more about getting a pilot's license, give us a call. The Climate Control Source hotline is 622-9622.
I know. Was it test anxiety that gave you a hard time,
He
or
passed
was it study
He passed
habit?
the test.
No, we're asking seriously.
Okay, are you serious?
I don't know if you had test anxiety, because people have test anxiety.
No, I didn't have test anxiety. What I had was scheduling conflicts and problems getting the study time to get into the study.
Don't point that at him.
So I wasn't prepared. So I wanted to make sure that I was prepared properly when I went in, so I wanted to get the study time in to be able to pass the test.
So it wasn't that it was hard for you, you just were lazy and didn't study.
Yeah, no, not lazy. It's just... Okay, it's a very serious thing. You have to study and you have to dedicate the time, and that sometimes is a little more difficult to do, so it takes me longer than others.
So it wasn't hard.
No.
Okay. It was just lazy.
It was not lazy.
Okay.
It was just the time constraints.
Okay, so, well, because he said that you said you were horrible at the test, so we were just trying to...
Yeah, I heard that. What's that about?
Yeah.
I thought you were having a hard time with the written part.
What did you get on the test?
I was having the hard time. 86.
86.
That's
that's
good.
pretty good.
That's
Yeah,
good.
see? So you didn't have a hard time. You just...
I was just repeating what you told me, Dan. You were saying
Yeah, I was having a hard time to get to take to the test or to study for the test.
You also went off the premise that he's good at the flying part.
Hey.
Well, that's true. I
But
did.
see, you want to admit that he's a good pilot because you've been training him.
Yeah, you
He's
better
a
admit
great
it.
pilot.
Yeah, and you're right. There was a presumption on my part, but I know Dan. And I know he's good with hands-on stuff. I see him with the computers, and I see him with a lot of stuff hands-on. So it just, aptitude usually spills over from one area to another. You guys
All
are
right,
something
Beavis.
else. No, they're the Great White North. They're not Beavis and Butthead.
He's laughing at a butt joke
Yeah.
from earlier. That's 5 minutes ago for the fart joke.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Anyway, well, thank you, Dan, for that
Okay,
explanation.
Not a problem. I will defend myself anytime. Thank you.
Yeah.
Don't
And it
put
was-
that there.
Oh, you want it over here?
Yeah.
You had to talk into it to ask us a
Directing
question.
the show.
It's my show. What do you expect?
Funny.
No, the funny thing is Dan's talking to us, and he looks at Josh and puts the mic up to his face to ask Josh a question because he's so far, Josh may not hear him. So he gets talking to the mic.
Well, it's so that the listeners can hear the question.
The listeners can hear, oh, you want me to put it there?
Oh.
Exactly. Not really. They don't care where you put the mic.
I think it's more of a natural thing for him to just always shove a microphone.
Yes, it was actually very funny watching him during the parade. Yeah.
Why? I wasn't there.
Oh, yes, you weren't. That's right. You did not participate in our fun gathering.
Do you know why? Do you know
Paradeism.
why? Do you know why?
The parade
Because you
broadcast.
were flying with your student until late, and then you said the traffic was too bad.
Because I was
See,
at
I
work.
listened. I
I
know.
was making you money.
Lazy.
I was making you money.
Uh-oh. The lazy word got thrown right back at you.
Yes, it did.
He doesn't
But-
know the meaning.
No, Dan, he'll just, he's interesting when he gets on the radio. He's funny.
He has a radio voice.
He does have a radio voice. He kind of turns it on, though, when he gets...
No, I'm
close.
serious. Dan, come here.
Can't you see on the computer he's editing stuff right now?
Yeah.
This is all Dan doing this work right here.
I don't care. Dan! I just want to prove a point here. But I'm going to make it, valuable to the show. Where's he at?
A valuable point to the show.
Yes.
Why?
Dan! Come here!
We have a lot of dead air waiting for Dan to
Yeah,
respond.
Yes.
seriously. All right, while we're waiting on Dan, there he is.
What?
All right, can you turn on that other microphone, please? I want you to make an announcement about the Discovery flights we do at the.
No, you don't. You just want to hear a radio voice.
Well, that's exactly what he
exactly.
wants.
Just make some kind of announcement about the flights.
To turn it on and off?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just show us the.
Visit Ocala Aviation.
Yeah, see,
Is
just
that better?
that's all you need, isn't it?
I wanted at Kmart. I'll get my money's worth.
The microphone at Kmart?
No, my voice.
Oh.
Blue light special. It was
Yeah,
buy
I
one,
think
get
so.
one free. I gave one to Dad.
I think
Yeah.
he gave it to you.
That wasn't
He
funny.
gave it to me. Come on, that was funny.
That was
All right,
not
Dan,
funny.
get
Really?
off our
Nothing?
show.
Oh.
Yeah, no, that was not good.
All right.
No, but listening to your dad and to Larry just overpower everybody on the radio.
Oh, yeah.
That's funny. They get into some weird rants on the radio.
That was funny.
Yes.
Come to Ocala Aviation.
Yes.
Start your adventure today.
Yes. I don't know. Nobody's gonna start their adventures if we just act like this all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes. But think about it.
Is that our phone ringing?
It is a phone. Oh, now it is your phone.
Hey, look at that.
Good morning. You're on a phone.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
I use that term loosely,
Yes.
but anyway,
It's all right. Brad's feelings won't be hurt.
it amazes me
Is this
when I think back to,
Is it sunny?
well, this is actually
Sunny?
before I was born, but my father went out, took I think a plane ride for like a quarter. I have a picture where it said plane ride for a quarter.
Wow.
And then he decided he would wanted to get a pilot's license, and he just kept going up with the same guy, and then eventually he took the controls and he flew the plane, did this, that, and the other thing. Eventually got to landing it. Then they went to the airport because this guy flew out of the field. So they went to the airport, and he went and got his pilot's license. That's how it was done.
Yeah. It was definitely different than it is now.
Yeah, and I remember also when I was, I forget, I was in the Navy or just before the Navy. We had kids, 13, 14 years old, theoretically with pilot license, but they couldn't get a driver's license.
Yep.
And to me, it's seeing the changes that are being made today to get a sports license or a basic pilot's license is unbelievable. But I guess it's required because there's less and less open land to crash into than ever, right? So you don't want to be plowing into somebody's bedroom or something. So
yeah, I'm not sure if it's the population that has changed the rules, but yeah, I mean, because now you can't solo till you're 16 and get your license till you're 17. And I remember just 20 years ago, I remember watching where a kid was 13 and flew around the world, not literally like in one shot, but he did a bunch of different trips and flew around the world over like a year period, and he was like 13. So,
yeah.
But you're just not allowed to do that now. I'm not sure what changed the rules. I mean, but the FAA makes their rules, and we just have to follow them.
Well, I guess it's like anything else. You could buy a car and drive it all over a place, and you didn't worry about a driver's license until maybe you had an accident or you got a ticket from a traffic cop. But that's how I got my car. I went and bought a car, drove it around, and then I figured, well, I got to get insurance. So then I went down to the insurance office, got a policy for the car. Then I drove down to this was in Arizona, drove to the sheriff's office and applied for a driver's license. I had a deputy come out, we get in the car. I drove all over the place, and he came back and stamped my application, and bingo, I got a driver's license that day.
Well, that's nice.
Yep, very great.
Well, that's
All right.
cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, the requirements for a driver's license, or for I'm on driver's license, for a pilot's license
Yeah,
have
please tell us
increased a lot because for one, airplanes are becoming a whole lot more complex, and there's a whole lot more to know about them. And also, for safety reasons, aviation has become much more in the eye of the public than it used to be. So the government has made more stringent rules about it. So
I guess his point was that once upon a time, the written part, which going back to that part of our conversation, wasn't as necessary, maybe, or maybe now it's more necessary.
Well, yeah, you've got more complex airplanes, more information that you need to know as well. The airspaces have become more complex and everything like that.
It's not just a choke and a yoke.
Exactly, it's not anymore. The basics of flying are still the same, but you've got much more complex airplanes, such as airliners that operate in the same kind of airspace as a Cessna. You need to know how to deal with those kind of situations.
But I like gadgets, and when we took that little discovery flight with Ron, Rob and I took it with Ron. I was amazed with what the instrument panel had on it
for such a small airplane.
Yeah.
Where back 20 years ago they would have had maybe half the instruments.
And it looks like a lot of education is necessary to be able to know how to know what you're looking at.
Yeah, you're adding a bunch of education for each instrument, for sure.
And there was one, was it a radar that had the little circles that told you where you can't fly? Is that called a radar? What is that? There was a screen he showed us, and there was some restricted areas you couldn't fly in.
That'd probably be on the GPS.
Okay.
And that's something that, has become more common in airplanes just in the last, 5-10 years.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the G1000 came out, the Cessna over in 05, so that was, oh my goodness, that's a long time ago.
Yeah.
Does GPS talk to you like it does in a car?
No.
You don't have the little British lady?
You can make it beep at you for certain
Well, no, they
things.
can talk to you. The plane will talk to you for other stuff.
Yeah. The autopilot will talk to you.
Yes. The autopilot will.
Something else that old airplanes didn't have. Many airplanes still don't have, small airplanes.
So how did they navigate? Did they actually have like a Rand McNally map in the cockpit? I mean, did you really have like a road map and use the roads as their...
For when?
Like if you were flying and you didn't have a GPS.
You have a sectional.
Yep. Well, these days we still use aviation maps called sectionals.
Oh, it's just maps. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
But they're not maps. They're sectionals.
Yeah, they're sectionals.
Which is a difference.
Yeah, there is a difference. But basically on these sectionals, it shows you aviation pertinent information. Instead of, it'll show you roads and stuff like that, but it'll also show you where, lakes are and prisons and rivers.
And prisons, in case you wanted to know.
Prisons show up quite a bit because they're brightly lighted at night, so they show up on the maps.
Oh, okay.
They say there's prison here or whatever. Schools, stuff like that.
And
shows you airports and all the information about airports and stuff like that.
And I don't know if it would apply here so much, but in some areas it must show like higher elevations, mountains and things.
Yep. Out west for sure, the colors of the maps are completely different. Here you'll find that the colors of the sectionals tend to be kind of pale greens, dark greens. Over out west, there tend to be browns and grays and stuff like that.
Wow!
Because of the elevation difference.
You could literally crash into a mountain
if you're not careful.
If you weren't paying attention.
Yep.
As you're flying, let's say without gaining altitude, but the land is coming up at you. Does your altimeter change its number?
No,
it does not.
The altimeter is set to the barometric pressure, and it shows you the altitude above sea level. So when we're at Ocala, it'll show about 90 feet because we're about 90 feet above sea level.
So there's nothing that shows you how far off the ground you are?
No, unless you have what they call a radar altimeter, which is actually, you'll find them on bigger airplanes. It shoots a radar beam at the ground and uses that to derive your altitude above the ground. Yes, Brad.
I'm just listening. I'm very enthralled in what you're saying.
No, you're not.
I am.
No, you're not.
Yes.
The one thing that you will find a lot of times is as you're approaching rising terrain with an airplane, you have a tendency to want to start gaining altitude because it looks like the horizon is coming up at you, so you start bringing up that nose, and before you know it, you're starting to climb without realizing it.
Oh, really? It's like an optical illusion?
Yeah.
It looks like you need to do something? Yeah. Now that little gauge that indicates that, it's got the white half and the black half. The black half is the ground, or the other way around?
All right, you're probably talking about the artificial horizon or attitude indicator.
Yeah, I guess.
That just shows your attitude, pitch attitude, or roll attitude.
Yeah, what does that mean, Josh?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
In relationship to the horizon. Why don't you tell us, Brad?
Well, no, I'm enthralled because I'm sure Kevin's listening.
You've been quiet.
You're working with him, and so I want to hear this.
What does Kevin have to do with this?
Because he's going for his CFI very soon.
Yeah, it's true. Kevin is he's Martin's private student. I got him through his instrument and commercial, and now he's getting ready to go for his flight instructor check ride. So, and it's kind of a shift of thought process because he knows pretty much most of the stuff he needs to know, but now he needs to be able to go back to basics and teach it to someone who doesn't know anything, like Dan.
And it tends to be what I've noticed through the years is these guys come in and they've gone through their commercial, say know all the information, but when you ask them actually to explain it, they're lost. And so it's good for them to hear how to do it, and then we work with them, and we'll have 5 or 6 different instructors or people work with them so they get everybody's different perspectives, and so they learn to dumb it down. And it's not against the students. It's when you have somebody that's a commercial pilot or going for a CFI, their thought process is so much different than a student pilot, and they try and explain it like they're explaining it to another CFI, and they can't do that. They have to explain it like they are to a student.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
And so
we get to act dumb a little bit.
It's fun.
Yeah, it is fun.
So in order to teach, you get them to teach?
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
We get them to teach us something, and then we'll ask questions. Like, for example, I had Kevin teaching me about stalls yesterday, and he starts his stall lesson. He's about halfway through, and I say, well, what does this have to do with the engine? And he kind of gave me this look of, what do you mean? Because he never explained to me, as the acting student, that a stall in an airplane is not the stall of the engine. It's a stall of the wings, a loss of lift of the wings. So we get them to think more like a student would, and make sure they explain everything like they should.
And that point is very important, because we had a student whose mother came in and said that the instructor turned off the plane during his lesson, which we do not do. And that's what the student explained, because he was
a younger student.
It was a younger student, but what it was is they had performed a stall, and he thought that they turned off the engine during this, and it was like no, and that's why it's very important. And sometimes you forget those basics, and that's one problem with the instructors is even after they get their license, they have to be reminded that you have to go over those basics, because a student's perception is, like he said, the engine stalled. No, it didn't stall. You know what I mean? And so it's very important, and we saw in real life that people do have a different perception sometimes. So no, we do not turn off the engines during training.
I just get a kick out of the mother coming to you.
Yes.
Why'd you turn off the engine?
Well, yeah, so she didn't want to fly with that instructor anymore, so now Josh gets to fly with him. So. It was you, right? You flew with him.
Yeah.
Last, yes.
Yeah, yesterday.
So if somebody wants the Discovery flight is now back to $99?
$99, which is still a heck of a deal.
Good deal. It's a good fun time, a good way to start what might be the avenue to getting a pilot's license.
It will, and your whole family and all your relatives and all your neighbors can all start too.
And where would they call? What's your phone number?
They would call 352-861-7484, and they can also go on ocalaaviation.com and click on programs and Discovery Flights and get more information there.
All right. Anything you want to say before we end the year?
Happy New Year.
That was non-eventful. You couldn't come up with anything better than Happy New Year.
Well,
okay. I guess that's how we'll end the show.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala. The weather is brought to you by MyFW.